he said to them, "My house will be a house of prayer, but you are making it a den of robbers." The blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. But when the chief priests and the teachers of the law saw the wonderful things he did, and the children shouting in the temple courts, "Hosanna to the Son of David," they were indignant. "Do you hear what these children are saying?" they asked him. "Yes," replied Jesus. "Have you never read, from the lips of children and infants, you, Lord, have called forth your praise?" And he left them and went out to the city of Bethany, where he spent the night. So I want you to think about this, because the question that was asked after we watched one of the scenes from this was, I've never heard that Jesus used a whip, and it seems kind of violent. He didn't really touch anybody. He was getting him out of there though. But I want you to think about our church, right? Or if you don't even go to our church on Sunday, think about your church, right? On a Sunday. Now, our bodies are the temple of God, right? So we don't have a holy of holies, but this is the holy of holies, right? Because he lives within us now. And but they had different parts of the temple. They had the holy of holies where only the priests could go. And then they had the outside where you had basically the Jewish people could go. And you had another one where it was for the Gentiles, where they could worship. And then you had outside that. I'm not sure if I'm missing one, but I know that it's at least those 3 levels. So they are not doing all of this selling of stuff outside of the temple. They're not doing it in the Jewish courts, because they would never allow that. They are doing it in the Gentile place of worship. So where the Gentiles, the only place they have to come, if they're worshiping this God, the God of the Jews, it's all taken up by people. So there's animals, animal poop. What I want you to think about is your sanctuary. And somebody coming in and setting up a market, not out here in the foyer, inside the sanctuary where you're supposed to worship and hear the message from God. People are selling animals for grain, for sacrifices, during the worship service and our pastor's message. And this is what was happening in the Gentiles' court of worship. Basically, they were treating it like it didn't really matter. They were also robbing people by saying that they couldn't take their money, and when they traded it, we got to trade out that money. You can't. They didn't give them as much as they were given, right, or as they put in. So they got less back, and they weren't getting. They would bring sheep, and if it wasn't perfect, they'd be like, "That's not perfect. You got to buy our sheep," right? So they were robbing these people who are already poor, and they were just doing all these things that were so distracting, right? Things that if you went into your sanctuary, I would be offended. I'd be like, "What are you doing?" I think everybody's eyes would be bugging out, like, "What?" Right? We would be we wouldn't know what to do. Basically, they were treating it like, again, it didn't matter. So if that happened in our place of worship, do you think they would be thrown out of our church?
Yes.
Yes, they would, right? It would be all probably the older men. My dad would probably be like, "That's not happening." I've seen him do that when somebody was yelling stuff out that was not scripture-based and was distracting from the service. He went back and said, "No, you're not doing that. Let's go." So he's very careful about it. That's our holy place. So it should not be too surprising when Jesus saw this and it made him really mad. And he turned the tables over and he took his whip, someone's whip, and he cleared out the place. Think about how disrespectful this was to God and the people who had no other place of worship. And Jesus is sticking up for us, for the Gentiles. He's like, no, they get a place of worship too. So as you're watching, remember that this would be our sanctuary if we lived back in Jesus' day, and you'll understand why Jesus gets so mad. And I love it because I feel like he's getting mad for me and you, right? He's like, "No, Stacy should get to worship here," right? Michaela, she should get to worship here, right? Seth should get to worship here. We all get to worship here, right? We're not Jewish, but we get a place too. So we're going to watch, picking up from the triumphal entry, Jesus coming in. Okay. Is that out of everybody's way? Hope so. Okay.
After the movie, you were telling us what he was getting mad for us.
He was.
Yeah.